let's do this. All right. So, would you like to start us off by telling me a little bit about where your question was coming from?
Um, Actually, when I check, I totally not really integrated with Telegram. I'm trying to cache, and it has been really wonderful. So I missed that very requirement that we should fill the form for to submit our deployment links.
Right.
So when I was just checking to submit the form, then I
Yeah.
got the a requirement to actually put an evaluation app link. So I was surprised to
Yeah.
see that, though it is optional, but I just want to understand why it is actually put in there in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and then there has been this question from our all about the evaluation process that we have not been able to answer actually, because
Yeah.
what I believe is that we have these four tools that have been promised to be deployed from the Prisma side. And of
Right.
course, two has been actually done, and we are set up on both two. So I hope that the evaluation app as well will be actually be in time before the evaluation process begin. I'm not sure. So I thought when you requested for the app link, so two things comes to mind. Is it that you are requesting for an application to evaluate our own performance as whole, or is it an application that we use to evaluate our participating teams in the hackathon process? So that was what comes to mind. So I need to get that answer clarified so that I know what I put there. And also, I want to ask again, as a further question, if that is clear, that would it be a kind of a custom application that we build ourselves, or we can just use any kind of software, or perhaps you have any kind of application you can recommend for your expectation?
And next trend I just checked is Lagos, Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Cool. That doesn't influence the what I'm going to say in any way, but I just to look up in our chat history and I saw Ghana and I was like, wait, I didn't know there was like a hub in Ghana. And then yeah, now I just had to double check. So um these are amazing questions. Um Let me reflect back to you. I mean, they're so well articulated already, but I'll just reflect back to you to show how I'm understanding them. You're asking, who does the evaluation app come from? Are we providing it, or is that something you need to build for yourself? Um, what's being evaluated, the hubs or the teams? So kind of like what is it being applied to? And uh, will it be ready in time for the evaluation process? Because we've set up two apps already, the docs and the timelining, but this evaluation app is like mysterious so far. Um, okay. Is there any that I missed? Any
No, no,
questions?
no, that's all.
That's all of them?
Okay, I
Cool.
think I asked in the last one, if the evaluation link that you requested is not the one that you are building from Prisma, is it that we are building our own custom evaluation application, or you be recommending one?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah, this was a little bit teasing almost to add that field for the evaluation link. um okay, so let's take a couple of steps back before we get into those questions. Um the evaluation process even, what's that about, right? We've had a lot of questions um about framed in terms of submitting projects. Like, when do we need to submit the projects and how are they going to be evaluated? And we've not really addressed that very directly because it's not it's not going to be as you might expect. I think a lot of people are expecting to submit projects um, by a certain deadline, as you do in almost every other process, right? And then we kind of like give them a score based on a certain criteria, and um, and then some projects are the top score, and some projects score less. What we're what we're trying to do, and to be honest, there's very few people who are comfortable with how much uncertainty there is around this so far. Even um, internally, people are like, I think we need to sort of like give something tangible. So yeah, it's a very timely question, is what I'm trying to say. It's a very strong indication that you're right with the pulse of where we are with the process. Um, as so, if that's the conventional approach, submit a project, each project gets a score, and then that ranks everyone. Alternative to that, what we're aiming for is to do a kind of ongoing evaluation process. Um, and instead of having um, a scorecard, um, we're going to have evaluators. And the evaluation is then not based on certain criteria, predefined criteria, but it comes from a set of perspectives that they have as evaluators. So imagine this. I'll try and make it tangible. For example, we we know already of a small handful of people that have a very specialized set of knowledge that gives them a particular perspective into a process like this. And they come from different backgrounds. So some might have a very well trained perspective on community organizing, for one. Okay. And who I'm thinking of there is a guy called Clement, who is working in near to Danbai in the north of Ghana, and he's actually building a village with his hands, like literally building the houses. We went to visit it when we did the event in Accra. We did a 7 hour trip with a bus to go north. It was amazing, man.
Wow.
And yeah, we actually arrived by boat at
Mm.
night. So imagine
Wow.
that. It was dark everywhere. A lot of people hadn't been on a boat before, and it was just like everyone was like, it was amazing. Um, all right, so he naturally, given his work, has a very keen eye for community organizing. It's his whole, it's what he's living, that's his practice. Um, so we're inviting him in that capacity to see the dimensions of community organizing in the teams of the projects of the teams. That's one example. Another example of someone that we're inviting has a background in technology, and particularly regenerative technology. And so, which is still something that's being defined, right? No one is kind of a changing definition what that is. But she's actively working on that. Her whole work is to deepen that understanding of what it means for technology to be regenerative. And that's a very specialized perspective that she's been holding that question for several years. Yeah. And that's a very different capacity to someone who's very experienced in community organizing.
Mm.
And then another example might be like could be learning, or it could be the quality of governance, which would have many overlaps with community organizing. It could also be um, Cardano specifically, as opposed to generally technology. Um, and they might not be. one person might be touching on a few different domains, but the key is that we're inviting these people to take up a dedicated role of being these evaluators to see into this process from their very specialized perspective. And we're then going to ask them to evaluate. And the whole publishing process with writing the docs and recording meetings like this is all for them to be able to see this whole process from different perspectives and evaluate it as a whole system. And in that way, they will be able to identify um, teams whose work is really making a very effective contribution into the systems that they're working on. That's the aim. And that's very different to us at this stage making a scorecard off the top of our heads and saying this is how everyone's going to be evaluated.
Love that.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Um, but it's difficult because that's quite a lot that needs to be developed, and there's quite a lot to design there. We could go very deep on it, or we might have to be realistic and keep it sort of relatively constrained. But either way, the reason why it's becoming increasingly urgent and we're not yet really able to give something to the participants in the hubs is because I'm trying to not skip that process of inviting them in that way. So what does that change? How does that change how you're seeing the evaluation of projects and your
Um,
original question?
yeah, to be honest with you, I expected this much. And to some extent, I think we'll be publishing some of our meetings that we recorded as well on our documentation. Probably if you have chance, you can see the process. I try to emphasize on the process of making sure that every single person follow the principle of the regeneration.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, every now and then they ask me what the evaluation process will be. I try as much as possible to let them understand that
Yeah.
it will be a kind of a continuous, even though I did not know the answer yet. Just tell them that it will be a
Yeah.
kind of a continuous process.
Yeah.
Just looking from the bigger picture of how things is happening or evolving.
Yeah.
So I tend to understand that it's a kind of an action learning journey process. So if that would be the case, the evaluation will certainly be continuous process. So I can't give you that is what they are checking for or what not. So in that regard, you have to make it very sure that all your team adhere strictly to all the requirements from the what has been published so far. Set up your
Yeah.
uh, Telegram bots, go down to the ground, find the ground truth, formulate your
Wow.
hypothesis, all of this inside, then define the opportunity. That is why we were able to publish with our team because we are thinking if we are to be participant as well, what would be what we'll be doing in that regard. So, and that was the
Yeah.
essence of why what we published in our documentation. Just giving everybody a chance, a kind of a fair chance to see what they are to do. So
Yeah.
we created the template so that you can see from that very perspective of ours as well that
Yeah.
this is how you can go about it. And then we did not restrict it to be what they should be publishing, but a kind of a guidance for them to see how we are thinking in the action learning process. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was shocked to be honest when I that was what I've been thinking in my head as regard the evaluation process. So when I was trying to fill the form, then I found the evaluation link. So that was why I need to come back and ask you what is happening.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. Wow, man. This is beautiful.
Yeah,
Ah, that's incredible.
yeah.
This gives me so much energy to hear you engaging with the process in that way. Like it's I'm really immensely grateful. Thank you for the time and energy that you put into that.
Yeah, it's okay. Because it's
And
part of
so,
what,
mm,
yeah, it is actually part of our process in the hub as well.
yeah,
Like I don't believe in the I live with a lot of philosophies, and one of those philosophy is that there is no manual to success in this world. So it has to
wow,
be that you learn through the journey, learn from mistake, correct that, and see where you're not repeating the error again. So there is no
yeah,
manual to a very efficient process.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that is what we believe in our own ideology. Probably why we are so much adapted to this process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, that's really great that there's that alignment. Um, okay, so let's double tap on this evaluation app and the link in the form. Um, the context there is, I mean, I can say to you what evaluation means to us. Mm, very simply, it means to make visible the value and how it's moving, how it's flowing. Um, and because our work is so much about working on systems, on multiple levels of systems, um, the context around that value, that indication of value, is as important as the signal itself. And that's actually a big reason why the publishing stack is so complex, is because it's trying to create the means to be able to layer more and more context around the underlying data. Um, that's one thing. The second thing is when we talk about value, we can also talk about it in terms of systems as well, value systems. And what we were touching on in the first part of this call is that it would be erroneous of us to predefine or prescribe what your value systems should be.
Hmm.
Um, which sounds great, right? But then, oh, what that means is the amount of work for you to define what
Actually,
your value systems are. Whew,
hmm,
that's a lot of work. That's a whole thing. You can work on that for years,
hmm,
you know? Um,
actually,
okay, I'll give one example to make this really tangible, and it's all leading towards these questions that you asked. Um, in Accra, in May this year, so about 6 months ago, um, I was just thinking, I know that time frame so quickly because during that event in Accra, one of the participants brought a newborn baby into the hackathon, 3 week old baby. And we were all
wow,
amazed. Like, she was one of the very few developers. I love telling this story. I tell it to like anytime it comes up. She
wow,
was one of the very few developers, so she really wanted to start writing code, you know. Um, and so we were taking it in turns to hold the baby so that she could get to the laptop and write code. And I just in conversations in the last few days, because someone from our team met her in Argentina. It was like a crazy crossover episode. Um, and we mentioned the baby, and I was like, 5 months old, and she said 6 months old. So now it's funny because that's my reference point for the time since the event in Ghana. It was 6 months ago.
uh, wow,
Okay, so um, we did a workshop during that event where we asked people to write onto post-it notes what they value, and we had like 25 participants. And then based on what they wrote, we kind of clustered them into categories. And in that way, it sort of surfaced what are the main themes of what these communities value. Um, and we were very ambitious with the tech. What we were trying to then do is create value schemas, which basically means a little structure, like a form with multiple fields, where you define what pieces of information are expected in a given message in a given channel in the Telegram group. Because then the timelining bot can pick up those messages in that dedicated channel and parse it for that structure. With AI, that's quite realistic now. You can send in a voice note and someone can talk very expressively in whatever form they want to articulate what's moving through them about value. And they're speaking to this structure because of there can be an onboarding process. So the UX and the data generation is combined. And then the schema for that dedicated channel can pick up the information and process it in some way in the back end. And in that way, we could bring this participatory data generation system in a way where we're surfacing these indications of value. That was how we were aiming to create the conditions to create some enabling infrastructure for the participants to signal contributions towards their own value systems. That's some place you could take timelining if you wanted to. Imagine you find some developers who are really up for a challenge. I will be more than happy to dedicate several hours to this. I think it's a really, really interesting area of innovation. However, I think that's quite ambitious as well. But I wanted to share that with you to give you an example of making it tangible somehow. So to come full circle, the evaluation app that we've built, which I don't know if you've seen this in some of the calls, is basically this timeline. It's like an arc like that, and it has 400 little dots on it. And each of those little dots are the contributions to the timelining channel. And we didn't use the schemas. So we didn't have any like definitive signal of value. It was just general reflections. People were saying like, I enjoyed this session. This was not cool. This was cool. Blah blah blah. But we built that app because then we needed to show that you can use that data in a very meaningful way, and the meaningful way was to build a RAG system, retrieval augmented generation, so that you could basically index. This is getting super technical now, man. Just tell me if it's
No, no, it's
too.
fine. It's fine.
Okay,
It's
so
okay.
with the RAG system, you can basically chat to that data. So you send in a message with natural language, and it indexes those 400 voice note contributions. So the evaluators, what I was thinking is the evaluators could come in and use that app and ask it questions from their specific perspective of evaluation, like ask it questions about community organizing and go deeper into that. And it would be able to surface from this process as a whole, from 25 different participants, their contributions, what was happening on the ground.
Mm,
It's cool, right?
interesting. Interesting.
So, yeah, that was, I mean, that's already quite open. That's not being too prescriptive. And we could set up that evaluation system. I mean, if we get to that point, we can deploy the evaluation app to the hubs. they can then build it out. They can connect it to the timelining data, and they can offer that to the evaluators as a way for them to evaluate the work on the ground. Um, we can do that. That's an option. Alternatively, you can build your own evaluation app as well if you want to.
Okay. Um, to make it more faster, due to uh time frame, or should I call it timeline?
Yeah,
I think it would be very better if they already built from your team can be deployed to us,
sure.
then we make use of that. And if there is any way we can add some kind of more functionality, or perhaps trying to make it fit to our local context, that is allowed as well. So we can do that. But
Yeah,
okay, let me ask this um question again. Okay, does it mean that if we if the evaluation app from Prisma to be deployed to the org, it means that the org is responsible to find the evaluators for the local
no,
selection? Okay, okay,
no. Don't worry. We'll find the evaluators for that. Yeah,
okay, okay, okay. No, it makes sense.
yeah. So was this helpful? Did this help to clarify some things?
Of course, it's clarifying. So it means now that the optional for the link is actually okay because we don't have it yet.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And you
Yes.
can still do. It's okay because it can be a final step. Um, the data, if your teams are going and doing the walk the neighborhood exercise and they're recording these ground truths, like you're saying, all of that data is being collected and it can just stay there. And when we're ready, we can add this evaluation app on top.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Um,
really cool.
yeah. So until then, yeah, I mean, I hope that this sort of, um, I
Okay,
hope that, yeah, go on.
you want to say something? Okay, I want to
No.
ask again from your own overall planning. We are looking to finalize every process. I mean, the grand hackathon events by 27th of this month. And like, given the fact that it should be like everything should have been completed before January 6th
Yeah,
and 9th. Yeah.
yeah,
So we are looking into having our process to be concluded
yeah,
by 27th at most this month. Is that okay by you, or we can push it to
yeah,
January?
yeah. No, this is a great question. This kind of like rounds off everything that we've been talking about. The invitation to the evaluators is going to be to come on board and start trying to learn about the program, and that will happen. That will continue to happen until January 6th. We're going to say to them,
Yes.
by January 6th, you need to confirm to us um, which are the I can't. I'm trying to get it correct. I think January 6th is like to select
For the team,
the top three
three
local teams from each hub,
local, yes,
and
yes,
then January 9 is like the top five across the whole program.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean that's going to be the requirement to the evaluators, and between now and then, they basically have all of the docs um, and anything else that you want to publish to use that. They can even schedule a call with you. So
Mm.
like
They understand
how
our dot structure.
the sorry?
Like I mean, so that we can understand our documentation structure.
Yeah, yeah,
Because what we
exactly.
do in our own case is that we created, I think I shared the link with everyone on the chat. So we created tabs for teams that are participating under our hubs. So and each of these teams have dedicated pages for the four quadrant, the ground truths,
Yeah, yeah,
the
perfect.
insights, the hypothesis, and the opportunities. Then give them 2 pages additional to write their stories or perhaps put everything, whatever they have done or learned during the process, to put everything there. So I believe
Yeah,
a call with the evaluator will be cool so that they understand how we structure our documentation to evaluate
yeah.
teams.
Let me show you in here. Um, I think this is going to be the main interface that the evaluators will use, and they can see
Okay.
this list of hubs, for example,
Hmm.
and they can
Yeah.
go here and they see buttons for chat, so they can join your Telegram group. They can see docs, evaluate,
Hmm.
meet. So they can click here. Oh, wait, I've already done that one. They can click here and it will open the scheduling link so that they, from this page, can schedule a meeting with this hub. And it just is as simple as that. And in that way, it gives the evaluators the ability to really like build up a relationship with the hubs and the teams. That's why we're taking this ongoing approach. Is really it's about building up a relationship. And then for you
Hmm.
guys, the way to get excited. I mean, what we're offering because we're asking a lot from the evaluators as well, right? And we're on a very finite budget in terms of being able to offer them anything financially to I mean, yeah, I don't want to say this on the recording, but yeah, I shouldn't say this.
I
Okay, I'm already here.
understand.
We're we're asking them uh, more on the basis of joining as kind of partners in the process. And what that means is we need to find uh, some way to reciprocate the value that they're creating by joining this process in this way. And
Hmm.
that relationship that they develop could be one of those things that they really value because they're really interested in being in contact with people doing great work on the ground. And some of these people come from very interesting networks and can influence some things, you know. So my suggestion to you would be to see this as a long-term thing. And yeah, we're from our side, we're going to do our best to try to um, support those who are engaging with the process as genuinely as possible um, to be seen. And so, like how you reached out is a great example of that. And like how you're saying, we've been really trying to restrain teams from skipping the process and really encouraging them to sit deep with the principles. Um, all of these things are really, I think they will be valued by the evaluators. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I need to jump, unfortunately, man. Like I said, my calendar's all been back to
Yeah,
back,
definitely.
but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
been a
I'm
pleasure,
genuinely
man.
connected. Yeah. Nice meeting you
Yeah,
too.
nice meeting you,
Th-
and
Thank you.
I hope we're in touch again in the future.
Sure. All
Take
right.
care.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye. Bye.